Warning: this experiment involves the use of sodium hydrogen sulfate. It is a very corrosive substance. Also, iodine is toxic and stains everything, and can also release toxic iodine vapor. Remember to be safe. Today I'll show you how to make iodine. First off, get some potassium iodide. Right now I'm opening my container. This is from a chemistry kit. That's why it has these little red container tops on it. Now take a small amount of potassium iodide and add it to a test tube or a beaker or a flask. It doesn't have to be a small amount if you want to make a large amount of iodine. You can scale up this reaction. Now add some water to dissolve the potassium iodide. So now it's dissolved. Now take some sodium hydrogen sulfate. Just a word of warning is that this is corrosive, so be very careful when handling it. Now take a small amount of the sodium hydrogen sulfate and add it to your potassium iodide solution. The cap for the container of sodium hydrogen sulfate fell in the test tube rack, so I'm going to have to lift up the test tube rack and get the container lid. There it is. So you can see the solution is yellow. I'm not sure why it turned yellow. It should still be clear, but it's okay if it does turn yellow when you're doing this. Now add a small amount of hydrogen peroxide. The solution will immediately turn brownish black. This is because solid iodine is forming, and because iodine is not very soluble in water, it will collect at the bottom of the test tube. I'm just mixing the solutions. Now I'm going to let that sit. So I've brought everything inside, and as you can see, there's a bit of iodine collecting at the bottom. The iodine is the black material you see, the lump on the bottom. Now I'm going to filter off the iodine from the solution. So I'm going to take my funnel and filter paper, and I'm going to filter it into this Erlenmeyer flask. Just a word of warning, again, iodine stains everything, so be careful not to spill it on anything. Zooming in here. It takes a while to filter, so I'm going to speed this up a lot. 8 times its original speed. Most of the iodine stays as a clump in the test tube, so the only reason to filter would be to get out the little bits of iodine that are on the walls of the test tube. I'm about done now. I'm not going to keep my iodine because it's relatively toxic and can produce some nasty vapors. You can see it's purple. Those are purple iodine vapors. So I'm going to show you how to dispose of it. This is a sodium thiosulfate solution. Add the sodium thiosulfate solution to your iodine and watch what happens. The solution will be clear instead of browny yellow as if you were to add water to the iodine. You can see it's clear. This is because the iodine is reacting with the sodium thiosulfate to produce iodide ions in the form of sodium iodide. This can be flushed down the drain. To give you a better view of the reaction of sodium thiosulfate and iodine, here's the leftover filtrate of iodine solution. And as I add the sodium thiosulfate, watch what happens. As you can see, the solution is brown, and when I swirl the flask after adding sodium thiosulfate, it becomes clear. This can be poured down the drain because sodium iodide is not much of a toxic chemical. Thanks for watching!